Ladies and gentlemen, battle brothers and sisters, welcome back. If you're new here, I am on a Warhammer journey. That journey takes me to all different places. It's totally fine. We go to Warhammer 40k, we go to fantasy, we come back. But today, it's very important to me that I find out more about the Black Templars. I know that Rogel Dorn, the Imperial Fist, Sigismund are all in Horus Rising and in Horus Heresy specifically. And I just want to know more. The successor chapters were created. They were created from the legions. They have 1,000 Space Marines. And I'm not sure which one. I don't know if it's the Black Templars or something else, but they have more than 1,000 somehow. I heard there was some loophole in the Codex. I don't know if that's true. Maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe I read that somewhere and it was fiction. I don't know. But anyways, we're getting ready for Helsreach. And I'm excited because they know that's a big one. That's a huge, huge story. And that's one that I think I'm ready for. So join me today in learning more about the Black Templars. All right, so the video that we're watching today is from the Templin Institute, and it's titled Black Templars Chapter, Warhammer 40k. So stay tuned. Enjoy the show. All right, so hopefully he doesn't fall over, but we have our Imperial Fist Joy Toy with us. Just need a little bit of company, you know? I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's go. Let's do this. The Black Templars. I am ready for this, guys.
Before we begin today's investigation, the Templin Institute Patreon has been updated this month with some new rewards. So if you have the means and desire to help support the Templin Institute, now is the perfect time. A pledge of $15 and above entitles you to this exclusive Templin Institute pin, while a $25 pledge guarantees a print of this original artwork. This offer ends on October 8th, 2022, but if you're watching this in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, we probably have some new special offer going on. Templin Institute branded servo skulls, maybe. Either way, you'll find a link to our Patreon in the description.
Servo skulls are the coolest thing ever in Space Marine 2. In that game specifically.
For 10,000 years, the Imperium of Man has withered in the shadow of the Great Crusade. It was an incalculable effort, a grand campaign, elevated to legend and myth. The Great Crusade marked the brief but golden era in human history, when the Emperor himself raised high a burning sword to throw back the darkness of the old night. Wherever his fleets and armies triumphed, civilization was rekindled. Wonders were rebuilt, star systems and sectors were reunified, and the promise of technology and science pulled back humanity from the depths of its ignorance.
There's some hope.
The Battle of Istvan V marked the official end of the Great Crusade and the start of the heresy that would tear down everything it had sought to achieve. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, the campaigns of the Emperor are a distant memory, intertwined with myth and lies. But the most terrible truth the enemies of mankind can learn is that the Great Crusade never ended. Even in this dark and terrible age where the Imperium withers, fleets and armies tear across the galaxy in its name. But no longer do they carry with them the power of technology or science, nor the promise of progress and understanding. Now, the Great Crusade brings only death and vengeance, for it is no longer the Emperor that leads it, but his most zealous, vindictive sons, the Black Templars.
All right, so first glance, I don't recall seeing the Black Templars like from a model or mini standpoint yet. I didn't go through this whole book. Maybe they're in there, I'm not sure, in the Warhammer Ultimate Guide, but just at first glance, like, this looks clean, but it looks old, right? It's kind of like, it looks like a cloth material that's kind of over it. That's what it looks like. But it doesn't give you the impression of like the Ultramarines, you know, that huge, powerful power armor and all that kind of jazz. This here, though, I mean, talk about this guy. Look at the claws over here. Yeah. I mean, this just looks, yeah. The purity seals. These just look cool with the symbol. I want to find out more with that lantern here. I'm loving this with the chains. This is super cool. Yeah, I love this sword. I just love this emblem and the color scheme. I like the black and white. Okay. All right, enough of that.
Like many of the institutions and organizations that today make up the Imperium of Man, the Black Templars were born from the fear of a second massive civil war, from which it would never recover. The transhuman Space Marine legions, immortalized as the Astartes, were the most powerful of the Emperor's armies, and without them, the Great Crusade would have faltered and failed. But when corrupted by the Dark Gods, the legions also represented the greatest threat to the continued survival of human civilization.
Sure.
To prevent the calamity of the Horus heresy from ever repeating itself across the Imperium, Primarch Roboute Guilliman argued in its immediate aftermath that the legions should be reorganized into far smaller chapters, consisting of no more than 1,000 Space Marines.
The second founding.
He penned his treatises in a sacred tome of military organization that would come to be known as the Codex Astartes.
Okay.
Guilliman's surviving loyal brothers, each in command of a legion of their own, were divided by his proposal, but none were more vocal in their opposition than Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists Legion.
I'm a big fan of Rogel
When
Dorn.
Dorn realized that his steadfastness might lead to the very kind of internal conflict that Guilliman sought to avoid, that he consented. In an event known as the Second Founding, the Imperial Fists were split into numerous chapters, and the Black Templars were born.
Badass.
Ironically, though Dorn had sought to keep his legion united, the establishment of the Black Templars, in many ways, merely gave independence to a distinct force.
So Rogel Dorn could have been the War Master, right? Like he had all of the, I guess, attributes or intangibles to be the War Master. Horus is the War Master, so I don't know a ton about Rogel Dorn. Obviously, I know some. But I think, he was stoic, he was noble, he could strategize, he was also super powerful, and had a very good thought process behind everything that he did. So, he's definitely one of the highest respected Primarchs for sure, and one that I, really want to do some deep dives on.
That had already existed within the Imperial Fists. Even before the Horus heresy, Sigismund, first captain of the Imperial Fists Legion, had gained a reputation as a warrior of peerless lethality and ability. Only the Primarch surpassed his almost supernatural genius for dealing death to the enemies of mankind. During the Siege of Terror, Sigismund was further elevated to the honorary position of Emperor's Champion.
Oh,
and
really?
the livery of the Imperial Fists that adorned his armor was painted over black to signal he represented the Emperor himself. But above all, Sigismund radiated a zealousness and fanaticism that attracted others of a similar mindset to his side. When the time came to appoint a chapter master for the nascent Black Templars, Sigismund was an obvious choice. He initiated as his first warriors those among the former Legion who shared his zealotry and determination. Many were selected from the Templar Brethren, an elite force within the Imperial Fists that had guarded the Temple of Oaths aboard the flagship Phalanx. They adopted the black armor of Sigismund as their own, and it is believed from this early cadre that the entire chapter would take its name. Sigismund, however, refused to adhere to the Codex Astartes, regarding it as an insult by Guilliman, directed towards his own Primarch, Dorn. Yet he was also devoted to proving the loyalty of his chapter. By his order, the Black Templars embarked on a crusade into the unexplored reaches of the galaxy, far from the oversight of Guilliman and the Imperium, and deep into the heart of the enemy.
What does that say?
For 10,000 years, this campaign has endured, the longest Space Marine crusade in the history of the Imperium. The Black Templars have strayed further and further from the Codex Astartes across the millennia, and are now virtually unrecognizable when compared to the force that Guilliman envisioned. Many of their variances are merely superficial, such as the adoption of distinct titles and ranks.
They evolved on their own.
Others, however, have completely altered the very foundation of the chapter, and must be kept secret from the Imperium. It is likely that no other chapter has deviated from the Codex Astartes to the same extent as the Black Templars. Their most distinctive element is their complete lack of a chapter homeworld, preferring instead to exist nomadically aboard their crusading fleets and armadas. Their only stationary bases are a series of keeps and outposts established on worlds they have conquered. These act as recruitment centers that process aspirant battle brothers, and replenishment stations that provide logistical support to their mobile forces. Even these keeps, however, might be abandoned or reclaimed as the movement of the Crusade dictates. A Gloriana-class battleship, the Eternal Crusader, just one of 20 such vessels constructed during the Great Crusade,
one of 20,
serves as the chapter flagship. It houses all the sacred relics, chapels, and devotional places of the Black Templars, and acts as a de facto capital and fortress monastery. But the greatest secret of the Black Templars might be their exact disposition and fighting strength. The chapter is rumored to possess an unusually high number of Astartes, greatly exceeding not only the 1,000 warrior limit imposed by Guilliman, but perhaps even the legions of old.
Really?
If true, this would make the Black Templars the largest Space Marine force within the Imperium, by an enormous margin.
So
their
that is
exact
true,
numbers are obfuscated by rarely assembling the entire chapter together, and instead dividing it between several crusading fleets. There are typically at least 3 operating at all times, though as many as 14 have been known to exist simultaneously. Each fleet is led by a marshal, and might consist of one or several fighting companies, which are in turn commanded by a castellan. Fighting companies themselves can vary drastically in numbers. Some contain only a few dozen battle brothers, while others exceed 100. Individual Astartes are rarely assigned to a company by a superior, but instead choose their assignments based on fraternal bonds and codes of honor. Specialists such as apothecaries and chaplains, meanwhile, have near complete autonomy within the chapter, able to move between formations as they see fit. In addition to the Astartes themselves, companies include the far more numerous non-augmented personnel who supply the material, specialists, and auxiliary assets required to keep the Crusade fleets operational.
They have a pretty good hierarchy and system in place,
Even at the tactical level, the Black Templars have eschewed the rigid doctrine of the Codex Astartes in favor of more flexible and ad hoc units. This is epitomized in the Crusader Squad, a unique merging of veteran Astartes warriors with unproven new recruits. These form the mainstay of the chapter's armies, with most elite Crusader squads led by sword brethren. These are the greatest warriors within the chapter, spread amongst its many squads, rather than grouped together, as the Codex Astartes would dictate. Likewise, where other chapters would rotate their Astartes between various companies to learn different methods of warfare, Space Marines of the Black Templars are encouraged to seek out their own path.
Really?
Many spend decades or even centuries without any advance in rank, and no dishonor is seen in this.
This seems like a lot of freedom.
The path from novice initiate to fleet marshal is thought to be guided by the Emperor alone. The title of High Marshal is bestowed upon the Supreme Commander of the Black Templars, to which all other marshals swear fealty. The High Marshal enjoys perhaps the most autonomy of any military commander within the Imperium of Man, decreeing by his own designs where and when his forces will engage the enemy.
Amazing.
Even Imperial governors, Lord Commanders of the Astra Militarum, and other Astartes might be denied help from the Black Templars if their cause is considered corrupt or unworthy. Yet they make a special exception for the requests of the Ecclesiarchy, and this provides a clue to the most fundamental divergence of the Black Templars.
I think the candles are cool.
While many chapters of the Adeptus Astartes demonstrate some kind of secular spiritualism or ancestor worship, the Black Templars have fully embraced the literal truth of the imperial cult. They see the Emperor of Man as nothing less than a god to be worshipped and adored, and to whom sacrifices are owed on the field of battle.
I see.
The most visible expression of this belief are the devotion chains they bring into battles. Astartes of the Black Templars will typically bind their weapons to their fists on the eve of conflict, removing them only when victory has been achieved.
That's freaking cool.
Chains of zeal, by contrast, are permanent, affixed to the most fanatical battle brothers, and only removed upon their death.
What?
This uncompromising belief and religious fervor permeates every aspect of the chapter and is used to justify the harshest of measures. Even amongst the Space Marine chapters,
They're so
the Black
extreme.
Templars are capable of extreme violence and abhorrent sacrifices. Yet, no matter the scale of the massacres they perpetrate, or the consequences of their intolerance, so long as it is done in the Emperor's name, it will always be justified. The zealotry of the Black Templars is also expressed in the chapter's absolute refusal to accommodate librarians, the sanctioned psykers of the Astartes, within their ranks. Their zealous hatred of anything corrupted or suspected to be corrupted by the warp leaves no room for any kind of mutant or aberration. This prejudicial hatred of librarians is often misinterpreted by outsiders as a sweeping intolerance for all forms of psyker, but in truth, the Black Templars hold a special reverence for astropaths. These individuals are seen as holy disciples, honored for their gifts that allow them to witness the light of the Emperor. The newly crafted Primaris Marines, however, have been viewed with equal parts suspicion and adulation across each of the crusading fleets. Black Templars seem especially suited to undergo the agonizing transformation into this new and stronger breed of Space Marine.
That makes sense.
But some also view the process as blasphemy upon the original work of the Emperor. The rumors that many of the first Primaris Marines sent to reinforce the chapter were slaughtered has done little to ease the tensions between the Black Templars and the Imperium they serve.
What? They're so extreme, but like in the best way. So just learning about their loyalty to the Emperor, almost to like the highest regard, right? Like nothing gets in the way. Almost like the Dark Angels to an extent way back when with the Lion. Like they kind of have the blinders on to get, their mission accomplished, whatever that is. And they're not down with corruption. They're just like super powerful, engaged, like just I don't know how else to describe it, like what I'm learning here, but I am so intrigued by this specific chapter that I need to know more. Like, that's happened with the Dark Angels Legion so far and with the Lion, but nothing else has really, I don't want to say nothing else, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the Black Templars are super impressive and interesting.
The Black Templars, however, still possess the intense desire first held by Sigismund to prove their devotion to the Emperor. Every subsequent High Marshal has repeated the vow of their founder and continued the crusade that he started. The Black Templars have annihilated countless alien races, shattered the foundations of stellar empires, and even prosecuted imperial worlds on which the slightest taint of corruption was found.
Amazing.
Across their 10,000-year history, they took part in the Great Scouring that formed in the aftermath of the Horus heresy.
Yep, okay.
They confronted the Black Crusades of Abaddon the Despoiler and the mightiest wars of the Greenskins.
Abaddon, Fall of
To the
Cadia.
darkness, they have brought fire. To the ignorant, faith. But in the unfolding new age that has come to be known as the Era Indomitus, the Black Templars have found the ultimate crucible in which to prove their faith. As the galaxy burns to the laughter of the dark gods, and the light of the Imperial faith lies gutted, the chapter has been reinvigorated. Long-abandoned chapter keeps have been restored, and new ones raised on the burning rubble of traitor strongholds. Fresh crusades are being formed, and old ones reinforced, for the galaxy is beset by the alien, the mutant, the heretic, and the witch, and the Black Templars can suffer none to live.
What? That's so cool. All right, so I'm going to say that the Imperial Fists in general may unseat the Dark Angels as my favorite legion. The Black Templars are amazing. Amazing. There's so much here. And this isn't the longest video, so this obviously is a deep dive. But I think from the aesthetic standpoint, the look of the Black Templars is super impressive, and it's It's one that I would like to have on my shelf somewhere. So I think I need something to collect. I don't know what that is yet. I don't know if it's a mini or maybe they make a Joy Toy or something else. But I like the look of them. I like the color scheme. I like the emblem. I like the way they have the purity seals with the emblem on top of that. I think as a core foundation and principle of what they are all about is something that it's really nice to buy into. It's something I want to hear more of. We know there's loyalists to the Emperor, but this is like an extreme loyalty in the best way. Being so strong and powerful and kind of, I guess, trying to do the best for their cause and for their chapter is something amazing. And how many more than 1,000 do they have in their chapter? What is the loophole? How do they do that? And I guess the other thing is too is like, what does Rogel Dorn think of the Black Templars? I don't know. There's a lot to it. I just want to get ready for Helsreach, so I'm going to read some stuff on my own. And eventually, well, actually sooner rather than later, I'll be going through Helsreach and sharing that all with all of you. So thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe to follow along on the journey, and leave some comments and just say what you want to say. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, see you.